Hello, this is a demo of some little redesign of actions and dialogues in the storage page of Cockpit. This is kind of part of the recentish redesign of the whole storage page. Now we have more place for actions, and so we can split them out a bit and make the dialogues simpler. That is the main idea here. So yeah, we start out with a couple of empty hard drives, and let's see what has changed. You get now more actions here in this menu, and they are not dangerous anymore because the hard drive is empty. So now you can either create partitions, format that thing as a file system, add some encryption if you like, or even format it as swap. These jobs, they were all done, almost all done by the format dialog, but now they split them out and hopefully it's simpler. Let's start with just create partitions, and yeah, easy dialog, just take the defaults. And now we have partition tables here, and if we look here at the details, now there's a big button here for create partition. It's also still possible to do that here from the free space, but you don't have to find this now. So as soon as you have said, I want to create partitions, you get this button here, create partitions, and it will just use the first free space that fits. So we make some, this dialog is also way simpler now. Used to be the full on format dialog, but now it's just a size slider and the type, which defaults to empty. So we just do this, and we get a new partition here. But this partition now has same kind of actions that we have seen before. We can format it as a file system or add encryption. So we go to this later. So let's format it as a file system finally. This now looks like this. Little bit simpler. The first is the type. And it only has file systems here now. So it's no magic thing where you have to find the swap entry here or the empty entry if you want to make if you want to wipe your block device. This is now just file systems. You can still encrypt them here directly. So let's make a encrypted XFS. And let's mount it just for kicks. So this is the same thing, except maybe a little bit simpler. There's no override option anymore. This is just for creating a file system out of an empty block device. So here it is. You can still create more partitions if you like. But let's explore what has happened to the actions here. So if you look at the hard drive, the only thing you can do now is erase it. You cannot do anything else. You cannot now format it as a file system. You first have to go back to an empty hard drive. Then you can start building it up again. Same is true of partitions. You can erase it, but you cannot format it now or turn it immediately into swap or operations like this. So first you have to all tear it down with this erase dialog, which looks like this now. It has a lot of space for explaining the changes that will be done, and it has only a single option here, whether you want to have some more secure erase or not. I guess the label here, we can lose that, or maybe we even lose the whole checkbox here if it doesn't do anything secure actually. But anyway, so it's a simple dialog dedicated to erasing things. And well, let's do that. And that has not worked. Now it has. Oops, there might be some bugs somewhere, as usual for demos. So, and now we're here on the details. You see the create partitions button is very prominent. This is also a change. Now we can have primary actions. They get buttons here in the cards. And I kind of decided now that the main thing that people want to do is create partitions on anything that can have partitions, and the rest of the actions are here a little bit further down. And yeah, let's look at this add encryption entry. This is the intention is to give people an opportunity to make just the LUKS container for something and then use it for physical volume, for example, or then add it to Btrfs multi-device volume. So this is the first step if you want to have an encrypted device that is not a file system. And I think that's not super common, maybe, but should be possible. And we could think about the text here. We could maybe say format dev SDA as an empty encryption container or something. That would be pretty long, but maybe it's worth it. So the only thing you now have here is encryption options. And let's say people don't know that they can create encrypted file systems with one dialog, and they see this and then they want to add the encryption. Let's see how that looks. So you get a new card here. This is the encryption layer. It's open now. And here the primary action is also a format activity, but it's called format clear text device now. So to make clear that you're formatting whatever is inside the encryption. You can see that here on the overview maybe. If we now open this menu, then you have the actions for encryption, locking it or formatting it, and the actions for the whole disk, which is, in this case, is just erase. So let's format the clear text device. Unfortunately, they have long names like this, but it is what it is. And now, of course, you don't have encryption options here, but very clean dialog for file systems. Let's format it. And now we have an unlocked encryption layer and a file system that is not mounted. That is something that Cockpit doesn't really like so much, but it's still okay. Cockpit likes the encryption to be locked whenever the file system is not mounted. So we can do that explicitly now. We can always lock something. And now we can't do anything with this other than unlocking it. So I think that's quite natural for people that know how Linux is structured. And now we have seen, now we can also erase the clear text device again if we want to reuse it for something else. Or we can erase the whole hard drive. This would remove the encryption layer. This also used to be the job of the former dialog, and it had an encryption setting called reuse existing encryption. And I guess that was too clever, or I think now it's too clever, and it's better to just distribute the actions here to the cards, and so that people know on which layer they're working. If we erase here now, then everything goes back and this card remains, and we can start again. And that has simplified the dialog a lot, also the code, which is nice. And the only remaining thing was the swap, which now has its own action, which is, well, I don't know if we should worry about priority and make it even harder to find. I think it's fine, even if people don't really do that much. And this dialog is the simplest of all. The only thing it will do is use your block device as swap. In this case, it's the whole drive. And yeah, previously you could create a partition and immediately use it as swap and even encrypt it. And that is now requires a lot more steps. And I don't think we can even make swap on top of encryption right now anymore. If that's important, maybe it could be implemented. But I think it's easier and more cockpity to let people do a small number of simple steps instead of putting it all in a dialog, and let them figure out what they really want and then try to do it all with one big click. That also makes error recovery easier. So if you create a partition but the file system formatting fails, then the dialog gets really confused and you can't really retry it, and you can't change the size anymore, for example. So it's better to keep that separate, I think. And now with the overview, with the redesign on the overview and everywhere else, I think we have enough space, enough places for actions. But still, I want to show one more thing. We glossed over this. If you create a partition, the type is empty, and which is the easy thing to do, but you can still make a file system immediately if you like. Let's make a Btrfs thing, and then you get all these options back. And let's mount it and create. No encryption this time. So if you know what you're doing, there are some shortcuts here, but it should be okay to do it step by step as you find things in the menus. I think that's it. See you next time. Thanks a lot.